Why, hello. Welcome everybody to another Partyplex FPS. The voice you're hearing right now comes from VB, Vegan Bear, Vegan of the Bears, and today I'm going to be part of an FPS called Are You Faster Than a Fifth Grader? And featured on this lovely game is going to be Franky, the fifth grader. And the one who's trying to catch this fifth grader is.
Uh, Hi. I'm. Wait, I'm not the one catching the child. Kestrel Toombs is the one catching the child, and I am TiredPenguin. You can call me Pengu because that is my name and I exist.
I love
Kestrel Toombs is an angry bird man who is having the worst job of his life.
it. Absolutely. And to open this up, as you mentioned it, uh, Kestrel Tombs is having an awful time here. Ever since the events of security clearance and him learning the buffoonery that is this place, he is probably and most likely thoroughly disappointed in this location with the neon lights and the security bots that just go in circles.
The rainbow handcuffs.
The rainbow handcuffs, that too. This entire place is just a mess and a nightmare. And he's probably taken some sort of like sanctum within the employee lounge, which personally I imagine to be the blandest place in all of the Partyplex, funny enough. The one place where
Just how
it's
he likes it.
just how he likes it. And I imagine there's one of the NPC employees we don't worry about just kind of having another chat with a security bot, just going, ugh, that kid broke in again. They messed up the arcades too. I don't know what to do. Should I call Ajax?
Hmm.
Is Kestrel just gonna continue
I,
listening in? Or
yeah, I
will.
don't think Kestrel is gonna respond, but he just definitely thinks there's a child breaking in here. There's a child breaking in here, and they're trying to catch a child kidnapper, and they can't even catch a child.
Yeah. And the employee is just going to continue complaining, like, oh, I am going to. Oh, stole the quarters again. And it's probably that same child. The one dratted child.
Kestrel is listening in, and he's not responding, I don't think, but he is definitely taking mental notes.
Ah, I'm not gonna have you do a perception check because this is the only employee in the room just talking to this one security bot that Kestrel is pretty sure is turned off and not listening. But it's just kind of leaning against the counter. But he's going to
That
pick up on a few details around here. First of all, that this is a child that's regularly breaking in, and the other fact is that this employee's really scared of the child. They spotted her running around the arcade, stealing quarters, but they tried to approach her, and she just kind of gave them this really awful glare that sent shivers down his spine, and he didn't know what to do. He was going to call Ajax, but then he's afraid that Ajax is gonna get mad, which he doesn't know why Ajax would be mad. Ajax is really cool and chill, but there's this child, this dreaded child that's running around, and that they're too scared to approach the child. I mean, you've heard of that night, right? You know what it did.
Kestrel doesn't. I don't know if Kestrel knows what that night is. I also don't know, but he's
Don't worry
mainly
about
just
that night.
thinking like, all right. Kestrel's mainly just thinking like, scared of a child, scared of a child. How does anyone get anything done in this place? Ah,
Yeah, that night. For viewers
I
who don't know
see.
what that night is referring to, it's referring to security breach events. So, uh, yeah,
Child goes on a rampage.
child goes on a rampage and leaves a whole lot of destruction behind. It's fine. This is normal. But yeah,
Hmm.
uh, the employee doesn't really give a description of the child, so Kestrel, what do you assume?
What does he assume? I, d- I don't know if he has an image in his head, but prob- imagine some gremlin-like image in his head. That's what's in his head.
He's
A
got.
gremlin child.
I'm imagining a very rough sketch of a child with stink lines coming off. Maybe some rage lines too. Very stinky, awful, feral child.
Yeah. I don't know how to phrase how he'd ask this, but he would. Yes. That image. Gotta put that in the
That
recording.
image for the viewers who are listening is a picture of a child in a devil costume holding a plastic pitchfork.
Wonderful. With an amazing scowl on his little face.
With a very menacing scowl.
A glare that would strike fear into the hearts of their enemies. I don't know.
But this is
But
what
Kestrel has that image.
Kestra's imagining that image with horrible fire in the background too. But
Yes.
hmm.
It's just
Well,
like, why are people scared of a child?
why are people scared of a child? And
Can't imagine.
as he has this mental image of a child going into closing hours, and when his shift is really beginning to start, yes, that's a sentence. Um, he, how does he go about his security? How would you imagine that too?
Painfully.
Painfully making his rounds around the partyplex, seeing the awful neon lights as with the empty rooms. Well, at least there's no children around.
Thank goodness. He he is keeping an eye out for glitter.
And make a
Because he
perception
remembers
check.
that from his training.
Keep a
All
lookout for
right.
glitter.
What's your perception, buddy? Perception +1. Ugh. Ugh. That's not a 0. 17.
Ooh, 17. As he's making his rounds,
Pog.
poggers. As he's making his rounds around the place, he finds himself at Montgomery Golf. No, wait, that's Archie's Golf. Oof. Archie Golf. Yes, yes, yes. Forget what I just said. And although he doesn't find any glitter, which may be to his, which I guess is always beneficial, he does instead hear
Yes.
a very odd sound. He hears footsteps and ruffling.
And I roll stealth to sneak up on the sound, whatever it is.
Okay, sneak up on the sound. I'm gonna check what the hell
Yeah.
your passive perception is. Okay.
Stealth. Do you have any bonuses for that?
Do you have any bonuses for stealthing? You sad little man.
No, he just has sneak attack.
He just has sneak attack. Understandable.
17.
Oh, huh. Well, that surely beats the passive perception. I imagine you're probably taking advantage of the way that it's set up like a swamp, and there's a bunch of tall grass everywhere. And
Yeah.
ooh, there's a lot of tall
You do.
grass that is conveniently big enough to hide a big bird. And
A very big bird.
as you come up, you find either a very, very small employee or that's a child, as she is investigating a wall. She has a big ol' razzy jacket. She's got goggles and a big old duffel bag behind her as she is just tapping a wall and just kind of whispering to herself, "Where is it? Where is it? I remember it being here."
A child-shaped individual. I see. What do you do? What do you do?
Well, it looks like a child. It sounds like a child. It's not acting like a child.
He doesn't know. I don't know if he knows what children act like. He was one once, presumably, but that's probably not a quote-unquote normal child.
Ever since he was a
What
wee
do you-
lad, he was sabotaging businesses and giving everyone the nastiest look.
I just imagine a small child bird with just the big angry eyebrows.
The first business he ever sabotaged was a bakery at the age of 5.
Wow, that's canon. That's canon. All right. What do you do? His abilities would be really great for him to just like try and handcuff immediately, but he's not gonna do that. He's reasonable. He's reasonable. He's gonna roll hammer space, pull out his little flashlight. D10. That's what that is. 6. Pulls out his little his flashlight. That the red angry from the Angry Birds movie, exactly. The big angry eyebrows. Pulls out the employee flashlight, the Razzie branded employee flashlight. He doesn't sigh at how it is colorful, but does grimace. And the presumably child gets big flashlight pointed at him.
Ah! And as soon as she's put on the spotlight, she's going to jump, turn around, and regret that as she gets light in her eyes. Ah! I'm gonna do a constitution saving throw for that. But continue.
Kestrel will point it down just a bit when Franky actually turns around. 5. Ouchie.
Ouchie! Flashbanged.
Ouch, my retinas.
She just kind of covers her eyes and she's like, ah! Ugh. Yeah.
Temporarily blinded.
Temporarily blinded. Hey, watch it!
Her vision.
Know how to aim that thing!
He is now pointing it down. Not directly into Franky's eyes. And when her vision clears, she does see very tall, grumpy-looking bird.
She kind of gives it a few blinks. And then kind of squints. It's like, oh, you're a new face.
He raises an eyebrow a little, like, all right, you seem to recognize employees. Or I don't know how to explain that, but like she recognizes he's new.
Yep, she sure does. Maybe that makes her an employee? A short employee?
Kestrel sighs at he's still assuming this is a child.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. What are you looking at? Go back to your business or whatever.
My business is security, and I don't believe that you should be here.
Ah! You must be one of the few new security guards then.
Yes, sadly.
Well then, how about I strike up a bit of a deal with you? How about you go along your merry way and I don't get into trouble? Okay? That way, that makes
He
your job
ra-
of keeping people safe so much easier.
he raises an eyebrow. Why would I do that?
'Cause it's part of your job? You know? There's probably other areas that don't have security guards in them right now. You can, you can probably go there and make sure that they're secure. I mean, this place is pretty covered. She's trying to
I've been
do.
surveying.
She's trying to persuade a guy with persuasion being charisma being her lowest stat, but this is fine.
Go ahead and try a persuasion, but I'm gonna say Kestrel's just still like, I've been surveying all the rooms since my shift began, and you are the first intruder I've found. 10.
10? An intruder? No. I'm a regular. That's not an intruder. She's a regular intruder. There's a difference.
I think he says that. I think he says like exactly that. That could just make you a regular intruder.
She doesn't have anything to say against that. She's just like, so what are you gonna do?
He kind of looks Franky over. Well, since you appear to be a child, I would take you back to one of the security rooms so we can contact your parents.
They already tried that. Didn't work. Try something new, something different.
Well, if you are the regularly intruding child I've heard about, we could always try juvenile detention.
What's that?
Child prison. I'm sorry.
No. I'm personally trying to imagine what the hell is a child prison gonna look like here at the Partyplex. Why, you're gonna put her into the ever-changing maze and just make sure that there's no exit? You're not gonna put me in prison, are ya? I'm too young!
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do it myself.
Oh, goody, what? You're gonna have, what, the alligator do it? Who's gonna put me in prison then?
Police officers, obviously.
Alright, fair enough. The police would do it. But yeah, but either way, regardless, this was a very nice conversation that I had with you, but I do have to get along with other business. And she's going to start walking away.
Kestrel just sighs and is gonna pull out those handcuffs.
You're not gonna handcuff a child, are you?
Well, the child is resisting arrest. Kestrel's at the beginning of his character arc.
No, I love him. Their child handcuffs are.
They are? Wow.
I imagine they have a little bit of padding on the inside just so they don't hurt children's wrists.
Wow. Oh. Kestrel's gonna approach Franky and try to just, like, not roughly, but grab her arm.
I'm gonna have you do a dex check. Casually
8.
approach child to handcuff. I'm gonna say with an 8, you probably grab her wrist, but she slips out of it almost immediately as she looks back. Don't touch me!
And she can see he's holding the handcuffs.
She's gonna look at the handcuffs. She's gonna look at him. Oh! You're serious.
Of course I'm serious. You have regularly broken into this establishment.
Franky doesn't have anything to say. She's gonna teleport away. There's as she kind of looks up at him for a very brief moment, she looks like a child made up of electricity before she just kind of dissipates.
Kestrel just what? What? It's
And
just stunned silence for a bit.
and I'm gonna have him do a perception check. If he's
Gladly.
mm-hmm.
Perception +1. The perception is so bad.
It's okay. You got this, Kestrel.
His investigation is so much better. 4. 4.
Ooh. Very sadly, Kestrel is a little bit shocked by the fact that this child has just suddenly disappeared. And he has no idea
one
where.
Told him the child could teleport. No one told him the child could teleport.
Well, in his defense, the child teleporting is a new feature, so nobody else
Doesn't
knew.
know that. Right now he's just thinking like, how? Why did no one tell me this?
Alright, the child has disappeared. What does he do now? Apart from standing there stunned.
Yeah, it does take him a moment and just like the cartoony like blink blink. And then he puts the handcuffs like in his pocket, readies his flashlight, and goes, "All right, this is gonna be a full investigation. Let's go."
Yeah, go ahead and feel free to investigate the area around you. And I'm going to make a quick stealth check.
Yes, I'm gonna roll investigation because that's his better stat. 7.
You just have to beat a 7.
Investigation.
Go for it.
19!
19! A 19 in investigation and a 7 in stealth? You know what? It's very, very hard to hide in the tall grass with a huge duffel bag and a neon bright jacket. And she is discovered almost immediately after she has teleported, as she sees Kestrel spot her, and she's going to just kind of run out of the tall grass and run towards the exit out of Archie's golf.
Kestrel runs to follow.
Yay, yippee!
Kestrel.
I was also going to say that
How fast?
Okay,
Sorry.
I was also going to say that since the way I imagined it is that he just kind of he comes up to the first tall grass that he sees, pushes it apart, and he sees a small little child inside. And she is booking it. And since she is technically leaving his range of attack, you will have an opportunity attack if you want to grab her.
Grab her when he first opens up the grass.
Yes.
Yes, he's gonna try and grab, which we're gonna count as an attack, I assume. And Kestrel does have the sneak attack, which gives advantage. Or wait, no, that's extra damage. You don't want to damage the child.
Make an athletics check. I'm gonna go with acrobatics.
Ah, his best stat.
Yes, use your best stat.
His very, very best. 9!
19! Oh no!
Wow!
Despite how badly she hid with her duffel bag, she has no issue just going around him with the duffel bag as she just kind of zips on forward past his feet, and she is running as she is holding onto the bag. And you hear a chunk, 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 chunk as it bounces. But go ahead.
You know the scene from the Mark Beeks episode, Falcon Graves' first episode, where like Dewey like runs under his legs and he just like tries to grab at him. I'm imagining that.
Fair enough, that too. Yeah, she slips
Swipe.
and she's now booking it. She is running as fast as her little legs can carry her. And
And Kestrel also books it.
okay,
What is Franky's speed?
Frankie has a base speed of 40 feet. Of 40.
Wow,
She's a
that's very fast.
yeah, she's a fast little kid. Don't worry about it.
Kestrel has a speed of 30, but he can also use the dash action.
Frankie is also pretty much dashing due to the fact that she doesn't have any other actions that she wishes to take. So the two of them are just kind of dashing after each other.
Yeah, so 60 feet.
So 60 feet and 80 feet. Unfortunately, that is still a 20 feet difference between the two of them. And it's very obvious this is a speedy child, especially out in the open, as she is booking it.
And Kestrel is just like, how is this child so fast?
She's just very good. I'm looking at what other things can she do. Ooh, actually, I need to pull out my. Oh, where did I put my phone? There it is. Hang on, give me 3 seconds. I need to look up a spell. Alrighty, let's look up the mechanics for grease.
Oh.
Slick grease covers the ground in a 10-foot square centered in a point within range and turns it into difficult terrain for the duration. When the grease appears, each creature standing in its area must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or fall prone.
Oh.
What's gonna happen is that Frankie's going to turn around for a very quick second, and the way that she's gonna cast this spell is that she's going to point two fingers and recoil it back like a gun being shot. And all of a sudden, just right in front of Kestrel. Actually, no. This has a range of 60 feet. So, right beneath Kestrel's feet, he feels an explosion of oil, and he's gonna have to do a dexterity saving throw.
Dexterity save. Thankfully, his dex saves are a bit better than dex checks, but not by much. 9.
What is Frankie's spell save DC? Oh boy, 9. That fails it sadly. And there's a very brief moment of the cartoon slipping sound. I cannot recreate it right now, but you know exactly the one. And
Yes.
he's gonna slip, and then pajoonj as he falls.
Probably to his face. That's funny.
Oh, that is funnier. Yeah, his face is now just completely black from the oil. Frankie's gonna laugh at him as she's still running.
Just an immediate, like, og from the bird. Gross. At least it's not colorful. At least it's not colorful grease.
At least it's not colorful grease, but there is grease on the ground.
Kind of a growl as he tries to get up again. Like, okay, the child is a bit harder to catch than anticipated. This is fine.
How does difficult terrain work? I'm gonna have to Google that real quick. You move at half the speed in a difficult terrain. So, moving 1 foot in difficult terrain costs 2 feet in speed. You also have to consider the fact that to get up from prone, you do have to use up already. You already have to use up half your movement. So, Kestrel has 30 feet, and to get up from prone, he has to use up 15 feet of movement already just to get up, meaning he has 15 feet more. And to get out of the 10-foot, being right smack middle of a 10-foot radius of oil, he has to use up 20 feet of movement, and he only has 15. Wow. So I'm sorry.
How long are... I know that's like, the movement speed is like how many feet you can move per turn. How long are turns?
Turns are usually 6 seconds if we're talking if we're talking real life. Actually, I think no. He would have to use up 10 movement, which means he would be able to get out of the oil slick, but he'll only have 5 movement left to try and catch up with Franky, who is still running as he's trying to get out of there.
He tries desperately. But since he underestimated the child, he already used up his dash action. Wait, it's used once per turn?
Per turn, yes. So, okay, so the way that I'm assuming it
So
went
he can
is
just
that...
keep using it. He's gonna.
Alright, dashing you go!
Nyom, as best he can.
So, he has moved 30 feet, and Franky, during the time that he was using up to get out of the grease, has already moved 40 feet. So, but regardless, anything you want to do with that 10-foot distance before Franky dashes away again? Like, that didn't work the way I planned for it to. Actually, no, there was 20 feet of distance. Okay, hang on, I'm doing math. There was 20 feet of distance between the two of them. She cast Grease, which slowed him down for a bit. Then he used a dash action to try and catch up, which means, he would be in range before Franky dashes away again.
Range to grab?
You can sure try.
He's gonna try.
Alrighty.
What should I roll for that?
If you're gonna grapple, that's another athletics check.
7, 12. Not great.
That's a nat 1!
Oh!
Franky was too busy laughing at his misery to have realized the fact that he had used up his bonus action to catch up, and she has now been grappled, which is surprising because he's covered in oil, and she's like,
Grabbing with the one dry hand.
Grabbing her with the one dry hand, and she's just kind of like, ugh, you look awful.
Kestrel just tries to pull out the handcuff, pulls out the handcuffs again.
Oh, it would have been funnier if
pulls
he
out the glittery handcuffs. What, that's not a fumble?
That's not a fumble, but it would have been funnier if he did fumble. But
it would have been so funny. There's some funny things in his hammer space. I want him to fumble sometime, but pulls out the glittery handcuffs and just tries to handcuff the child.
Alright. I'm gonna say that this is gonna be a contesting dex thing. Because Franky does not want to be handcuffed.
Understandable.
Please don't handcuff me.
Roll persuasion.
So I'm gonna do contesting dex. Actually, I'm gonna do a persuasion check first. Like,
okay.
You wouldn't handcuff a child, would you? Look at how adorable I am. That's a nat 1.
Oh, a -1.
That's a 0, straight up 0. And she's just like, you wouldn't handcuff a child? Kestrel is glaring at her, covered in grease and oil. As he's like, nah. You ruined my suit? You ruined my feathers? You ruined the Partyplex floor? I have every reason to arrest you.
Kestrel doesn't care about the Partyplex floor, but he does care about his suit and his feathers.
Okay, at least the grease covers up the atrocious floor pattern. So she gets 1 point. Half a point for that.
What? Kestrel is definitely glaring at her as he tries to handcuff. Dishonor.
Okay.
Kestrel's dex is so bad though, but
it's okay. She's going to just kind of keep moving her hands around like, you don't handcuff me, please.
18.
For realsies?
For realsies.
There's a moment of struggling, and there's a click, click, chink, chink, and Uh, Kestrel is desperately trying to put the second thing on Frankie's wrist, but what he has failed to realize is for the fact that uh the other piece of the other half of handcuff is kind of stuck to his wrist.
He he gives a bit of a satisfied smile when he hears that first click, cause like, all right, that's the first step, and then struggle looks down and sees his wrist in it too, and just he looks, man.
Frankie looks up at it, looks at him, and she's so ready to start laughing her ass off.
He definitely has a bit of an amusing expression.
Oh my god.
He looks somewhere between horrified and stunned and tired.
Frankie is going to continue laughing at this, and it's just like, well, brilliant! Now, how'd you manage to handcuff yourself?
Oh. Oh. He's upset. Oh.
Ooh,
Intimidating glare, which I hope he fails the intimidation.
failed the intimidation.
Please fail it. 7, he fails it.
I'd imagine
He tries
that
to glare.
he's so embarrassed from accidentally handcuffing himself, he started to fluff up, which is definitely taking off points from his intimidation.
Yes. And also he's covered in grease.
He's also covered in grease, so he has a very greasy, fluffy look to him.
Yes. Does not look very intimidating, though he tries to glare at the child for, like, how dare you laugh at me?
Well, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wow. I hope you had a lot of fun, but oh, you are. I'm gonna have to tell upper management to keep you. You're hilarious. And here's a thing that I'm gonna propose, possibly. She's going to try and teleport away, but the thing is that as Kestrel sees the electricity starting to spark up, it just instantly dissipates, and she's kind of stunned herself.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and this is why I'm proposing. Now, a lot of magical handcuffs set here with an inkwell are enchanted to stop teleportation spells from working because it's going to be way too easy for people to teleport out of them. So,
Yeah.
they're going to prevent teleportation. That is the thing that I'm proposing. And she just kind of keeps hanging in the air by his hand as she just kind of blinks, and she's like, the electricity starts to spark up again, but it doesn't cover her completely, and it's a lot weaker now as she's just kind of like, wait, what? No. And she's giving her shoes like a tap. No. You were working before. Why are you not working anymore?
The handcuffs are magic resisting.
What?
Handcuffs block magic.
And that instantly takes the fun out of this entire situation for Frankie, as she's going to start kind of like making an entire mess. She's kicking her legs, she's waving her arms, and she's just like, no, let me go.
Kestrel's gonna try to pick her up.
Oh, I thought she was already picked up. She was grappled.
Oh. I imagine Kestrel was like on his knees though, so like both of them on the ground. Because small child.
Small child.
And now he's gonna try and stand up and pick her up with him.
I was gonna have a really funny idea of the fact that she's trying to like run away while they're still handcuffed together. And so there's kind of like a bit of tension between the handcuffs, and he's slowly sliding forward because he's still greasy and the child is pulling.
That can still work even while he's on his knees. I love that idea.
Yeah, he is kind of being carried forward by this child who's trying to desperately get away from him. And she He eventually just kind of stands up calmly, still being dragged by the child, and picks her up.
Yeah.
Now she's starting to kind of like flail around, like, let me go, unhand me!
I would love to, unfortunately. And he rattles the handcuff a little.
Don't you have like a key for this or something?
He would, but we need comedy.
We do need comedy.
So Frankie asks about the keys, and he just sighs. The keys are in the security rooms.
You don't have them?
Unfortunately, because this place and its employees have the competency of a grain of rice, no.
She's not particularly happy with this.
Neither is Kestrel.
Well, what? What are you gonna do? Bring us to the security room then?
Yes. That is the only option, sadly. And when we get there, we are going to call either your parents or the police. It's up to you.
Let's try calling my parents. I like that option better.
He raises an eyebrow. Does Frankie have parents?
You're gonna find out later.
I think Kestrel is curious enough about the feralness of this child that I think he would just straight roll insight on Frankie saying that.
Do roll insight. Go ahead. I don't know if to oppose that was
Insight.
deception, but yeah, I'm gonna
Plus
go.
one.
Oh,
19!
I'm gonna roll deception anyway. Not that it'll succeed that.
Try.
2.
You gotta try. Oh, 2.
As she kind of
So
goes,
how-
I like that option better. Kester kind of eyes her and remembers the fact that one of the first few things she says was they tried calling her parents and that didn't work. So he's just kind of like eyeballing her on the fact that she's suddenly changed the tune to wanting her parents called.
Kestrel sighs. Police it is, then.
Oh, what are you going to tell them? A child broke in? Arrest this child? They're gonna call my parents anyway.
Well, then that'll be their problem to deal with, not mine.
Oh, giving somebody else the job, eh?
Well,
What,
as
you can't
said,
handle me?
There are, as you said, there are other places that need to be secured in this facility.
Don't use my arguments against me.
I will. I will do it gladly. He just starts walking to the security offices.
Frankie can't really do much as she's being handcuffed to him. She
can try a contesting strength to pull away.
What is she gonna do? She can't pull her hand out of the fucking handcuff. Actually.
But to try and, like, pull him instead.
Oh, you wouldn't have this small child try and overpower this big bird?
That's why I said try for the comedy.
Actually, I'm gonna... So, is she not being carried anymore?
He is gonna let her walk.
That's fair. Oh, boy.
Unless he needs to, like...
That's a 5.
He is still all oly. That's a 5. I will roll a strength and give him disadvantage because oily. His strength is a +3, though.
Oh, I have an idea. 6. He is being...
That's still better, but...
6.
Yeah, 6.
With a...
Barely.
With a 6, he does notice that the fact that he's become slower with the fact that Frankie actually has a good friction against the ground, unlike him, where his feet are slipping and sliding, but he still is making progress forward.
He sighs. Do you want to get unhandcuffed?
Not if it means I'm gonna get the police called on me.
What alternative were you thinking of?
Well, I already gave you the alternative, which is to call my parents. Maybe you'll have better luck contacting them than, I don't know, the other people. I mean, they are
Do you
incompetent after
have
all.
do you have parents?
I do. What child doesn't?
You know what orphans are.
I do. But I'm not an orphan.
But to know. I don't know if he believes her, but
I mean, there's nothing indicating that she doesn't have parents.
he's being suspicious about it though.
Um, you can try and insight her if you're that suspicious.
Well, he did before, and he got
Ah.
that 19.
He's got that 19. Yeah, then I'll definitely say that he's still very suspicious of the way that she's treating and talking about her parents. There's something off.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he's
That's
making...
why he's going to call the police. He's gonna call the police.
So, very, very slowly, he's going to keep making his way towards the security office. And at some point, Frankie, seeing the fact that there's very little point in hindering him, and besides, the sooner she gets separated from him, the more things she can do. She eventually starts walking in front of him and just kind of pulling him behind, like, come on, you're being way too slow for somebody who really wants to get out of here. And I imagine that at this point, she's just kind of dragging him behind.
He's just like, forgive me. Perhaps the problem is that I have grease on my shoes.
You're not wearing any shoes.
On my feet. Dang it. Feet. You would have said feet.
It's okay. But yeah, she kind of rolls her eyes and she's going to make her way towards the security, which, Kestrel...
Does she know where it is?
I was about to say, Kestrel, you find it incredibly suspicious that this child very quickly brought you to the security office.
Incredibly suspicious.
Well, here you go. What do you want from here?
He's gonna open. So, Kestrel has raised an eyebrow again at Franky, knowing where the security office is. I just realized he doesn't even have this child's name, and I don't think he's gonna ask yet.
Yeah, he doesn't have the child's name. Nobody at the Partyplex has her name.
No one has her name? No one knows her name.
I think Jackie might, but I'm not 100% sure if Frankie told Jackie her name. Otherwise, no, nobody knows her name. They just know her as the child.
The child. Wow.
Not a child, the child.
Wow. Well, she is infamous at this point.
She's very infamous, but not by her real name.
So, Kestrel has raised an eyebrow at her knowing where the security room was, but
What?
can only assume that people have tried calling her parents before.
Fair enough.
He just sighs when she says what and opens up the security office. I assume like the do you need to use like the Razwatch to get into the office?
I'd assume yes, just so guests don't accidentally wander in.
Makes sense. Okay. So, steps into the security office, starts going for the drawers, looking for the right one. We need more antics.
Oh, I'm gonna give you more antics, but for now, I'm gonna have him do quickly, I'm gonna have him do an investigation check to see if he can find the drawer.
Okay.
Frankie is currently just
Uh,
very tiredly waiting.
a 5. You got a nat 1.
Oh my gosh, and that one, he is going through every single drawer. He's opening it, closing it, opening it, closing it, opening it. Wow, why does the Partyplex have that? Closing it, opening it, closing it. And he's going through
He's starting to look a little distressed. He's like, where are the keys?
I'm gonna do an investigation check for Frankie to see if, because it would be really funny if she points it out to him. 18! As he's becoming incredibly distressed, she just kind of sighs and goes, "It's that one."
He rolls his eyes at her like, surely this. How would this child know? How would she know where the keys to the handcuffs are? And he opens up that drawer. And there's the keys. Right?
Wow.
Are the keys in there?
The keys are in there.
He blinks.
It's really obvious. You can tell by that huge key card reader that's meant to indicate to the player that that's where the important lore stuff is. This is her breaking the fourth wall.
He doesn't say anything. He just grabs the keys. And kind of looks at the handcuffs.
You're gonna have to be very smart about this.
Looks at the handcuffs. Looks at Franky. Looks at the handcuffs. Looks at Franky.
Before you ask, no, I have never been handcuffed before.
First off, I find that very hard to believe.
No, it's true.
Though with the incompetency of many of the employees, I find it more believable the more I think about it.
They never had handcuffs to begin with, but she didn't even know the Partyplex had handcuffs now. No. The handcuffs are
surprise.
Why didn't anybody tell her
surprise!
About the update? What?
Merry Christmas!
But yeah, how does Kestrel want to go about unhandcuffing Franky?
Kestrel is looking at the handcuffs, looking at Franky, and still holding the keys. And how do I know you won't teleport away as soon as you are uncuffed?
You're just gonna have to trust me, I guess. And
why would I do that? Why would I do that? Give me one reason.
Because I pinky swear? He can unlock
Franky can roll a...
Go ahead.
Franky can roll a persuasion for that, how do I know you won't for that because I pinky swear?
Well, pinky swears are very, very important to tunes.
Very important.
With a 7, no, nothing about this child indicates the fact that she's about to keep a pinky promise.
Kestrel also isn't a very toony tune.
Yeah.
Yeah, he squints at her and just unclicks his handcuff and immediately, with his now free hand, holds on to her.
Actually, since you weren't holding on to her before you unhandcuffed yourself, make an opposing dex check.
Oh no.
Yeah, as he's busy and focused on unhandcuffing himself, Franky became really prepared to book it as soon as she gets the opportunity. And as soon as the handcuff is free from his wrist, she's gone. She has made it towards the door.
And Kestrel bolts up after her. Like, no, not again.
Oh, yes, again.
No. He bolts up after her.
Sorry, Kestrel, but she's now on the run again, and this time she is going to be a lot more thoughtful about where she's going. So she's just kind of running and weaving, like, ah! With one handcuff flailing behind her.
One rainbowy handcuff.
One. Kestrel, you're gonna let this child take your one handcuff? Your one Partyplex assigned handcuff?
No. He has to prove himself. He has to prove that he's better than all these other idiots.
As he's trying to prove himself, Franky is going to take this as an opportunity to cast Expeditious Retreat as she does, as she's going to try and run as fast and as far from him as possible. Yeah, but I will say, because Franky does have one handcuff still on, she can't teleport away. So, that is the one advantage that Kestrel is now given because she cannot get the handcuff off of her. So
She can only neum.
She can only neum. And with her 40 speed and the fact that she's putting everything into running, she is getting distance. And I'd imagine.
So is Kestrel.
So is Kestrel!
But always But always 10 feet behind.
He's 10 feet behind, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have her do a big ol' round loop, and she's running towards the maze.
Ah.
As she's running towards the maze, she's going to do two things. She's going to reach into her duffel bag to pull out a rope, and she's going to kind of put one finger in her mouth as she licks it. And as she's running towards the maze, I imagine that there's a control panel somewhere there. Since that night she would have had to go through the maze, she probably knows where the control panel is, and she's going to shocking grasp it.
What does that do?
Oh. But I had the general idea that because she's shocking grasp the maze, it's going to be a little bit bugged out, which means walls are going to churn on their own, which is incredibly dangerous, but Franky doesn't care.
That's awesome. That feels like something they should have actually done in Security Breach. Like, that's really fun. This is why we'll have renovations soon.
Yeah, she'll be the reason why. But she's going to shocking grasp the controls, which there is going to be a... I'd imagine for there to be a ping on the Razwatch as Kestrel gets a notification that there is a grave error with the maze now, and that it's going to be incredibly dangerous.
He's fighting for his honor.
Fair enough. And as the walls begin to... Go ahead.
I was just repeating, he's fighting for his honor, sorry.
He's fighting for his honor. He's fighting for his dignity as he watches two walls rotate and open for Franky as she runs inside with the rope.
He doesn't, man.
He's gonna be crushed between two walls, but we'll worry about that later.
He's still gonna he's still gonna try not to die.
Well, I know that, but
if they're spinning, he's gonna wait for the opening.
I don't really have a map set up for this because I didn't plan to do this, but I'd imagine that they're churning at random intervals because they are glitched out. So they don't know when to churn, they don't know when to do stuff. So certain walls are currently just stuck in one place. Some are jittering back and forth, undecided if they should move or not. Others are just rotating one direction, rotating the other way. Actually, let's do a 360. The maze is completely buggered out, and I'm gonna have the two of them make a dex saving throw to not be crushed by any of the... Acrobatics works too, but I was going to make a dex saving throw because this would require the two of them to be alert when going through.
His deck Kestrel's deck saving throws are better than his acrobatics, so I'm gonna go with
That
that.
too.
18!
18. He is successfully making his way through everything, through the walls. 19.
19.
Frankie is also
They're both doing incredible.
they're both navigating through the maze very very well despite the fact that it's bugging out and that it's glitching. And so they're going to go through a few antics, and I'm actually also going to double this with a stealth roll from Frankie to try and not be noticed. 12.
Good idea.
Um
Stealth. I'm gonna
you can make a perception
roll,
or an investigation since you are actively
his
trying to find her.
His investigation is better.
Make your investigation check. Nat
5! Wow!
He's incredibly focused on not being crushed between the walls as they rotate and turn all around him. And he's a big guy. He needs to put some extra focus into that. So as he's kind of trying to weave and dodge between the walls, he doesn't really catch Frankie, who is also weaving and dodging between the walls. And with a code word that she says, she kind of throws the magical rope up, and it kind of ties itself to a vent. And she's going to try and climb up it to get out of the maze and out of the danger zone, and possibly try and run on top of it, which is going to be a horrible, awful idea, but she's going to try anyway.
I mean, sounds like a better idea than being in the hall of spinning walls.
True, but they're also rotating and spinning, so which also means she has a chance of falling off and being crushed. So either way, nothing sounds good being inside of the broken maze. So I'm gonna.
And whose fault is that, Frank?
Okay, in her defense, she's a child and she's trying to escape a guy that just fucking handcuffed her. 16.
Fair.
She's not having too bad of a time, and it is being helped by the fact that she does have night vision goggles, so she can very clearly see the entire maze. Ignoring the neons
That's
that are already on the wall, but yeah. Kestrel, you are still stuck in the middle of the maze. Is there anything else you're going to try and do? You can probably make a perception check to see if you notice her now being on top of the maze.
He has a sword. I wanted to give him a gun, but he also has a sword. He's gonna stab a wall.
Oh!
He's frustrated, and he's gonna try and get it to stop.
I'm thinking about how to have him stab a wall. Or even... Okay, I'm gonna have him make an attack roll. And depending on how well he...
misses.
This was more to determine how well he can actually stab a wall. Yeah, fair enough. Make an attack roll anyway, to see how well you stab a cubicle wall. But this man, covered in oil and grease, pulls out his sword and...
320.
Dirty 20! Jesus! He stabs a wall and it just... As he pulls his knife up to gash into it, he leaves a giant hole, and the wall just kind of stops rotating and it bugs out, and it's jittering and shaky.
Good. He's gonna stay against that wall then, to give him just another moment to make a better perception roll, hopefully.
15. Well, with the 15, he notices that just above him, Frankie has also noticed the fact that that wall has stopped moving and has taken full advantage of jumping onto it and leaping onto another wall.
She gets glared at, and he's gonna try and grab at her, probably, as she's jumping.
I'd say that's Dex, possibly with disadvantage, because he still is trapped against the walls. Unless he really wants to try getting on top of them alongside with her.
Well, I was gonna say he was gonna try and grab at her while she was on top of the wall that he's right up against. And then, if that doesn't work, then he's gonna try climbing up.
Alrighty, then this would be an opposing Dex check.
15.
10. You grab at her?
Aha!
You grab her foot, and she just kind of yells as she finds herself stopped, and she's going to fall to the ground if Kestrel doesn't catch her.
Well, he is gonna try and pull her towards him and catch her.
Then I'd imagine with a 15, he grabs at her foot, and just before she hits her ground, he grabs with his other hand, with the sword hand, I guess, at her hood.
He drops the sword, probably.
Drop the sword.
The sword is stuck in the wall. The sword is stuck in the wall.
Okay, the sword's stuck in the wall, and he grabs her hood just before she hits the ground. The duffel bag makes a very nasty clang sound as it does fall off of her, and she tries to grab for the duffel bag, but then she's met face to face with a very angry bird, and she is not delighted to see him either.
He is just taking deep breaths.
You know what she's gonna do?
What? What's she gonna do? What's she gonna do? What's she gonna do when they come for her?
Well, congratulations, you caught me. Give her there! And she kind of puts her hand out for a high five. Woo, congratulations!
He glares at her. He glares at her bad. I am growing very tired of your antics.
Probably should get a coffee from the employee center, because I'm not done. And that hand that she offered to high-five him with? Yeah, no, she's gonna bring that up to his hand and shock and grasp him. Of all the things you would assume. So...
He was expecting something, but not that.
It's the one trick she has up her sleeve. Okay, there's another trick up her sleeve, but that's only going to depend on if Kestrel is not... But that's going to depend on later.
What does shock and grasp do?
So essentially, lightning springs from your hand to deliver a shock to a creature you try to touch. I'm going to make a melee spell attack against you.
Alright.
On a hit, the target takes 1d8 lightning damage, and it can't take reactions until the start of its next turn. So...
Well, probably also equals dropping her.
Yeah, essentially. This is the one thing that she has consistently been doing to get away.
Roll that melee attack, and I think you could roll... Oh, I was gonna say,
That's
I think
24.
you could roll that at advantage, since you kind of caught him off guard, but I don't think you'll need to.
With a 24? That's 2 hit points. Ugh. As he's being shocked, he drops Franky briefly, and she's going to grab the duffel bag, and she's going to run away from him again, and disappear between the walls again.
And it takes him a moment, because, you know, he just got shocked. And, like, I think all his feathers stand up. Okay.
Yeah, no, I imagine as he gets shocked, his feathers just gonna, like, fluff up, cartoonishly kind of getting the grease off of him. And there's some static and electricity, like, sparking between a few of the feathers. But, yeah.
He has to take another moment when he's just like, what the hell? What the hell?
Well, every moment that he takes is another moment that, yeah, everything smells like fried chicken now.
Fried chicken! Fried chicken. Yummy.
God,
I'm hungry.
The engineers and technicians the next day are gonna have a field day trying to figure out what the fuck happened to the maze.
He only takes, like, just for... he tries to go after her again. He's getting increasingly upset.
That's fair. That's fair. Oh. Now, if he was a barbarian, Frankie would be fucked. But
Why?
angry bird, very angry bird. Okay, I'm gonna have another dex check to see how well the two are navigating through the maze again.
Okay.
Because it still is bugging out.
Yeah.
Okay,
13.
18 and 13.
He's...
Frankie is still having no trouble, but Kestrel, you are still...
Kestrel's not doing too good.
You are still peeved from the audacity of this child. And I imagine that his shoulder gets hit multiple times by walls. He probably got hit by one, but...
Yeah. He's not having a good time, man.
You still have your sword, and you've seen how well the last time went.
He will take the sword out of the wall.
Congratulations, are you gonna stop more walls?
Yes!
Ooh, yippee! Do another attack check. Do another attack check to see how well you're stabbing walls. How well is Kestrel stabbing through these walls?
12.
That is a very good question on what's the fucking AC for a wall. But
I think it would be like 10.
yeah, I'd assume so. But these are also walls that are being rotated and bugging out, so...
11?
Sure,
12.
I'll go alongside with a 12. With some difficulty, you are having a little bit of difficulty getting the sword in there, but once you get it in, messing in with the wires, yeah, no, the wall just stops. And so he's kind of slashing and hacking through these walls with a little bit of difficulty, but he is eventually just tearing this maze apart as he heads forward. Frankie has made it out of the maze, but she's going to try and hide.
She can hear fuming bird noises from within.
I don't know what fuming bird noises sound like, but...
I don't know either. He's gonna keep stabbing walls, and I'm gonna keep rolling until he fails comedically. 20, 30, 20.
Okay! He is getting into the groove of stabbing walls as he's just tearing the entire place apart. And Frankie's 22. Having a bit of a hard time finding a place. Okay, he is really getting into stabbing walls as Frankie is having trouble finding a place to hide.
I'm just gonna keep rolling until he fails.
Kestrel, stop stabbing walls. Kestrel, stop stabbing walls. Kestrel, stop stabbing walls.
I'm gonna keep rolling until he fails.
At this point, he's gonna get out of the fucking maze. Kestrel, stop. Kestrel, stop. Kestrel. Kestrel, stop. You've already destroyed the maze. Kestrel, stop.
He finally fails.
I think with that series of successful things, he stabs the last wall to exit, and his sword kind of gets stuck as it kind of gets pulled out of his hands. But
size.
Try not to get stabbed by the other end of the sword being flung around to the other side, but it stops.
Takes a step back in size.
And, yeah. The entire maze is just, like, bugging. You hear a few as it's no longer working. The neons are flashing.
He doesn't care. He does not care. He's upset. And when the wall stops spinning, he's gonna try and pull his sword out of it and then look for the child.
Frankie's scared. She is now hiding in a baby stroller and she's like, oh, I done fucked now. Oh.
He puts his sword back into his hammer space because at the end of the day, he doesn't want to physically harm the child.
Well, he still has successfully scared the child, but
He's fine with that outcome. But he
oh
doesn't want to harm the child. Physically.
no, fair point.
Mental scarring is fine, but
Oh, Frankie is just gonna be like, wait until my therapist hears about you.
he's gonna roll
But regardless,
investigation to
well,
look for the child.
you have to beat a 7.
Uh, 11.
He has beaten a 7. And he notices that there's a baby stroller that is definitely has something inside of it. Oh, would you look at that? It's a child. It's the very same child that Shocking grasped him and greased him and had him go through that awful, terrible maze. And, ugh.
I think his feathers are still sparking a bit as he walks up to the stroller.
Uh, Frankie is still unable. Actually, oh! Frankie has thieves' tools. She could try tinkering away at the handcuffs that she has.
Oh,
We're gonna
you
have
can
her
roll
do.
for if she was trying.
I'm gonna have her do sleight of hand because she jumps into the stroller and as quickly as possible, she digs into her pocket, pulls out the thieves' tools, and is now picking at it with one hand. So I'm gonna do it with disadvantage because she's doing it with one hand.
Yeah, 18.
18! Okay, that was a choice between an 18 and a dirty 20. So she's able to get the handcuffs off of her and she just kind of grimaces at it, like, ugh. But yeah, Kestrel makes his way over to her and opens the stroller.
And he looks at her and glares at her. I'm gonna roll another intimidation. 17.
Yeah, after you have torn up that entire maze, Frankie is very, very much terrified. She kind of looks up at him, gives him a weak little smile, waves her hand. In a spark of electricity, she teleports away.
He stares at the now empty stroller for a good moment. And then he just falls to his knees.
That's fair. She teleported back into the maze because I would assume that the maze isn't too far from the baby stroller because she only had like a split second to figure out where to hide.
Yeah.
But she's
Yeah.
back into the maze and she's kind of going to make her way through the now very, very broken and still walls. But she's gotten away. And Kestrel, you are here at the baby stroller, who you have been greased by a child, you have been tricked by a child, you have been outdone by a child, you have been outrun by a child. This you have destroyed an entire maze area, which would be amazing if you don't get fired for that.
He's on his knees. He's distraught.
One of
He
the
just
security
stays
bots
there
is
for like a
just one of the security bots just kind of rolls forward, stops, turns. Hello there, guest. May I help you?
gonna punch it in the face.
Oh, make an attack roll.
7.
I don't think that quite.
He goes to punch the security bot and just whiffs.
I was imagining the fact that he punches the security guard and he just kind of goes clang as he hasn't had enough force to actually damage the dang thing.
That's also funny, and then just holds his hand there for a second and then just
Please do not attack
Ow.
the staff.
He puts his head in his hands.
Please do not touch the working apparatus.
His face doesn't feel like a working apparatus.
uh, Hello, guest. May I help you?
No. Just says no. He just stays on his knees. What is Franky doing?
Franky is currently running away and she's going to take a moment to catch her breath. And then she realizes, oh shit, shit. And she places the duffel bag on the ground and she's going to open it and check inside. And actually, just as a little tidbit for the audience, she's going to pull out the Razzie head that's within the duffel bag and she's going to inspect it, making sure that it's not dented or damaged.
Yay!
She's going to investigate it. And actually, I'm going to roll a d20 for Razzie. So, a 17 to investigate it, and then this is for Razzie. 14. She's going to investigate the Razzie head, and she does notice that there is a bit of a dent on him, but it's not too bad, and he still is in one piece. But she does kind of grimace at the fact that there's a dent, his ear's a little wonky, but she can fix that. Aww. She kind of puts his head back into the duffel bag, pats him, and is just kind of like, sorry. Closes the duffel bag up again, and she's going to try and now head back to her goal of finding parts that she can steal again, because she's not satisfied. But yeah, I feel like
she is not followed by the bird.
Yeah, she thoroughly lost the bird. But as the bird is over there coping very hard on the fact that he just lost a child, and the fact that he failed to punch a security bot, I think this is a fairly good spot to close out on the FPS. Actually, I do have an additional thought. I imagine that early in the morning he's got eye bags and he still is a little bit staticky as he's sitting in the employee room and he has like a cup of the darkest, blackest coffee you can fucking imagine.
Black as his soul.
Black as his soul. And there's that one employee that was talking about this infernal child, and they're like, whoa, what happened to you? You look like death.
You didn't mention they could shock and grasp.
Oh, that was in the employee informational. Did you see? I would like to point out the ad that I made for the employees. Yeah. And they kind of just pull out their Razwatch and they pull up that image right there.
He looks at it and just somehow the eye bags get a little darker. Puts his head in his hands. And he sighs.
Fair enough. But as he sighs and is thoroughly disappointed in himself, the employee's just kind of looking at him and it's just like, hey, maybe this will lift your mood. I kind of went through to the security room and there was this little origami bird for you. It has your name on it, I think. It just says, is your name Big Scary Bird? I thought that description kind of fit you. Oh, God. And they present a green origami bird that has written in crayon, "To Big Scary Bird. Sorry about last night. Pleasant surprise if you pull tail." And there's a heart.
He doesn't like this. He doesn't like the idea of this. This is not... But what's it gonna do? Shock him? Spray him with water? What's it gonna do to him? What's it gonna do to him?
Do you pull
And
the
he
tail?
reaches for the bird. He looks it over for a second first, and he's just like, what is this gonna do to me? He's gonna
He
play a funny noise. He's gonna play a fart sound. He's gonna play a fart sound. That's something children would do, wouldn't it? That's something children find funny. He pulls the tail.
Oh, he's gonna have a swell time on TikTok. But regardless, he pulls the tail, and as he does, the bird tick, it explodes into glitter, covering the entire uh office, the employee resting room in rainbow, in the glitteriest, in the most rainbowy glitter that could be found at the daycare. And right now,
He
the
clo-
him and the other employee look like two amalgamations of glitter with eyes.
he squeezes his, shuts his eyes, of course, as it's exploding, and then just blink, and sees all of it. And he just rests his face on the table.
There's a note on the inside of the bird that says, "You look like you need some color in your life," with another heart.
He rests his head on the table and just stays there.
Well, that's a very thoughtful gift. And now we're actually going to close the FPS there. We did everything we wanted to.
There we go.
We completely emotionally destroyed Kestrel. He got glitter bombed. He got shocking grasped. Uh,
He still smells like fried chicken.
uh, at this point, we're gonna have to keep some sort of counter for every single FPS that goes with shocking grasp. But thank you everybody for listening in. Y'all have been lovely audience members. Pegu, you have been absolutely lovely. I cannot wait for this bird to continue being emotionally destroyed and distraught by everything.
Thank you for putting the man in situations.
Of course, of course. It's my favorite thing to do. It's my favorite pastime.
That's so wonderful. Bye bye.
Alright. Bye.